Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's Last Post ceremony. My name is Chris Weidenbar, and joining us today from the Australian Army is Major Graham Hales. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. We acknowledge the members of RSL and Services Clubs Association, RSL Victoria, and RSL Queensland who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the pool of reflection by visitors and by students on behalf of the following schools from Victoria: Ivanhoe Girls Grammar School and St Louis de Montfort Primary School, Aspendale. I now invite you all to please stand and join in singing the National Anthem. Thank you. Students, you may be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's first World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway lands. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 102,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes would now be laid at the base of the pool of reflection.
G'day. Today we remember and pay tribute to Sapper Kevin Francis Pearce. Kevin Pearce was born on the 5th of January 1927 in Melbourne, the son of Francis and Ruby Pearce. Kevin's mother died when he was 8 years old, and by the time he turned 18, he was living with his aunt in the Melbourne suburb of Collingwood. By then, he had spent some time working as a farmhand in Kilmany, a small country town in Western Victoria. In January 1945, just a few weeks after turning 18, Pearce enlisted in the 2nd Australian Imperial Force. In April, he was posted to the 1st Training Battalion, Royal Australian Engineers, which is a large Australian Army training base at Kapooka. Here, on the afternoon of 21st of May 1945, two groups crowded into a dugout to take part in a routine demolition training exercise on the preparation of hand charges. One group of 22 trainees and 2 instructors, and a smaller squad of 3 men and 1 instructor. Inside the dugout, 110 pounds of explosives were stored for the day's training exercise. In circumstances that remain unknown to this day, the explosives ignited. In the explosion, 24 men were killed instantly. 2 died of injuries shortly afterwards, and 2 more were severely injured. Sapper Kevin Pearce was one of those killed in the accident. He was 18 years old. A mass funeral was held for the men in Wagga Wagga on the 24th of May. Thousands of people lined the route of the funeral parade, and 26 flag-draped coffins were carried on 4 army trucks. The cortege included over 100 military vehicles carrying members of the Army and the Air Force. The dead were buried in the Wagga Wagga War Cemetery. Kevin Pearce's name is listed on the Roll of Honour on my left, among almost 40,000 Australians who have died while serving in the Second World War and afterwards. A photograph of his headstone is displayed today beside the pool of reflection. This is one but of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Private Kevin Pearce, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
lest we forget.
lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Poziere or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. We thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial and wish you all a very good evening.